There's a generation walking among us right now that carries a secret, a psychological blueprint that modern society has completely forgotten how to build. They were the last kids who disappeared for entire days without their parents calling the police. The last generation who learned survival before they learned to read. The last humans who grew up in a world where boredom was normal, danger was expected, and nobody was coming to save you. And here's what nobody talks about. That experience hardwired their brain in a way that can never be replicated again. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what made them different. Not just different, but psychologically equipped for life in ways that would shock most people under 25. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why talking to someone from the 1970s feels like meeting someone from another species. Entirely. So, before we go deep, let me ask you something. Pause for a second. Are you from before 1980 or after? Drop it in the comments right now, because what I'm about to reveal will hit differently depending on which side you're on. Let me paint you a picture of what childhood looked like in the 1970s, because if you weren't there, you genuinely can't. Imagine it. You wake up on a Saturday morning, no plans, no schedule, no play date arranged by your mother 3 weeks in advance. You just go outside, and you might not come back until the street lights turn on. Nobody knew where you were. Nobody tracked you. Nobody panicked. You had a bike, maybe some loose change, a couple of friends from the neighborhood, and that was it. No phone to call for help. No GPS to guide you home. No parent hovering 10 feet behind you making sure you don't scrape your knee. And here's the psychological impact nobody talks about. That type of freedom doesn't just feel good. It fundamentally rewires how your brain approaches problems. When you're 8 years old and you get lost 3 miles from home, and there's no phone to call mommy, your brain has 2 options: panic or adapt. The 70s generation learned to adapt. They developed something psychologists call internal locus of control. It's a fancy term for a simple idea: the belief that you are in charge of your own survival. That solutions come from within you, not from someone else rescuing you. This is why even today, people from that era have this almost annoying habit of saying, "I'll figure it out," even when they have no clue what they're doing. It's not confidence. It's not arrogance. It's a psychological reflex built in childhood. Their brain learned early. Nobody's coming. You either solve it yourself or you suffer. And that creates a completely different type of adult. The invisible curriculum. But here's where it gets even deeper. While kids today are learning social studies and math, kids in the 70s were learning something else entirely. An invisible curriculum that no school taught, but every child absorbed. They learned how to entertain themselves for hours with nothing but imagination, how to negotiate, fight, make up, and stay friends without adult referees, how to take a risk, get hurt, learn the lesson, and never make that mistake again. How to read people, read situations, read danger without anyone explaining it to them. They were building emotional intelligence and survival instinct at the same time. Modern childhood has safety, structure, supervision, all good things, but it has removed the one ingredient that creates resilience: real consequences in real time. You can't learn to swim if someone's always holding you up. You can't learn to navigate life if someone's always telling you where to go. The 1970s generation learned to swim by being thrown in the water, and their psychology never forgot it. Now, if you really want to understand the psychology of people raised in the 70s, you need to look at who raised them. Their parents were born in the 1930s and 40s, which means they either lived through World War II or grew up in its aftermath. Let that sink in for a second. Imagine your father saw his friends die in war. Imagine your mother grew up with ration cards and empty shelves. Imagine your parents knew what real hunger, real fear, real survival looked like. Now, imagine those people trying to raise children. They didn't sit you down and talk about feelings. They didn't explain their trauma. They didn't go to therapy and process their emotions. They survived. They worked. They provided. And they expected you to do the same. This created a specific type of parenting that shaped the entire generation. Rule #1. Don't complain. Life is hard. Everyone knows it. Complaining doesn't change it. So shut up and keep moving. Rule number 2. Work solves everything you don't feel good. Go do something. Fix something. Build something. Clean something. Feelings are for people who have time to waste. Rule number 3. Responsibility isn't optional. If something breaks, you fix it. If someone needs help, you help them. If there's work to do, you do it. No negotiations. No excuses. Now, you might think that sounds harsh, and maybe it was. But here's the psychological result. It created adults who didn't wait for permission to be competent. They didn't need someone to tell them they were ready. They didn't need a course, a certification, or a confidence boost. They just did the thing because it needed to be done. And this is why even today, if you watch someone from the 70s generation fix a problem, there's no drama, no panic, no, oh my God, what do we do? They just start moving, figuring it out, trying things, failing, adjusting, succeeding because their parents taught them something schools don't teach anymore. Competence isn't a gift. It's a requirement. The weight they carried here's something most people don't realize. Kids in the 70s saw their parents work in ways that would be illegal today. 12-hour shifts, manual labor, no complaining, no quitting, just showing up every single day and doing what had to be done. And kids absorbed that, not through lectures, not through motivation speeches, but through observation. They watched their father come home exhausted and still fix the car. They watched their mother work all day and still make dinner. They watched adults carry the weight of real life without falling apart. That kind of modeling is more powerful than any parenting book ever written. It didn't teach them that life is fair. It taught them that life is hard and you show up anyway. And that lesson is tattooed on their psychology forever. Asterisk, here's what makes the 1970s generation truly unique. They are the bridge. The last generation to remember life before the internet, and the first generation to fully experience life after it. Think about that for a second. They grew up in a world where, if you wanted to know something, you went to the library. If you wanted to talk to someone, you showed up at their house. If you were bored, you created something, or you stayed bored if you wanted music. You saved money for weeks to buy one album. If you missed a TV show, it was gone forever. They knew what it felt like to live slowly, to wait, to be patient, to value things because they were rare. And then the internet arrived. Suddenly everything changed. Information became instant. Communication became constant. Entertainment became infinite. And here's the fascinating part. While younger generations were born into the chaos, the 70s generation watched it happen. They experienced both worlds, and that gives them something nobody else has. Perspective. They can see what's been lost. They can feel what's been gained. They're not romanticizing the past, but they're also not blind to the cost of the present. The loneliness of being awake. There's a strange loneliness that comes with being from this generation. You remember a time when people talked without checking their phones. When friendships meant showing up, not just liking a post. When community was real, not digital. And now, you watch an entire generation grow up addicted to devices, anxious about things that don't matter, and exhausted by a life that should be easier than ever. You want to say something? But how do you explain color to someone who's only ever seen black and white? How do you explain silence to someone who's never experienced it? How do you explain the psychological freedom of not being watched, tracked, and judged every second of your life? You can't? So people from the 70s just live quietly, watching, remembering, and carrying a blueprint for life that the modern world desperately needs but refuses to learn. Now let's talk about the generation born after 2000. And let me be clear, this isn't about being better or worse. It's about being shaped by completely different forces. Kids today are brilliant, more informed, more aware, more creative than any generation before them. But they're also carrying a psychological burden that didn't exist 30 years ago. Digital exhaustion. Their brain has been in overdrive since birth. Before they could read, they could swipe. Before they developed social skills, they developed screen time. Before they learned patience, they learned instant gratification. And it shows. The attention crisis, the average attention span has collapsed. Not because people are dumber, but because their brain has been trained to expect constant stimulation. Sit still for 5 minutes, agonizing. Read a full article. Too long. Watch a 10-minute video without checking your phone. Nearly impossible. This isn't weakness. This is conditioning. And the psychological cost is brutal. 1. Chronic comparison every day. You see people living better lives than you, traveling more, earning more, looking better. Even when it's fake, your brain registers. It is real, and you feel behind. 2. Decision paralysis. Infinite options create infinite anxiety. What to watch, what to buy, what to do, what to be. The paradox of choice is destroying the ability to commit. 3. Burnout before 25. How do you burn out when you haven't even started? By running a mental marathon every single day without realizing it. Scrolling is not rest. Watching is not relaxation. Your brain is working constantly. The invisible pressure here's what breaks my heart about this generation. They're expected to be productive like the 70s generation, informed like a professor, attractive like an influencer, successful like a CEO, mentally healthy like a monk, all by the age of 23. No generation in human history has faced this level of psychological pressure. And they're facing it alone, in their rooms, staring at screens, wondering why they feel so tired when they haven't even done anything. The 70s generation grew up with real danger and real freedom. The 2000s generation grew up with fake safety and real anxiety. Both are hard, but in completely different ways. So here's my question to you, and I really want you to think about it. Which generation had it harder? Is it harder to grow up with no safety net, no guidance, and real physical danger? Or is it harder to grow up with every resource available, but your mind constantly under attack from algorithms designed to steal your attention, your peace, and your sense of self? Is it harder to be left alone to figure life out? Or is it harder to never be alone because the entire world is always watching? There's no right answer, but the question reveals everything. What I do know is this: the 1970s generation carries a psychology we need right now. Not to go backwards, but to remember what we've lost. They remember how to be bored without needing distraction, be alone without feeling lonely, fail without falling apart, work without needing applause, live without needing permission, and maybe, just maybe, if we listen to them, we can build something better. A generation that has the resilience of the past and the awareness of the present. So tell me in the comments, are you from before 1980 or after? Which generation do you think had it harder? And what's one thing you learned from this video? If this made you think differently, hit that subscribe button. We go deeper every single day. Like this video so more people can find it. The algorithm rewards engagement, so your one click genuinely helps. And if you want to be around people who think like this, join our Discord community. Link is in the description. Reverse Hub isn't just a channel. It's a place for people who refuse to live on autopilot. I'll see you in the next one.